So, AudioJungle composers woke up to some interesting news today that their terms of service have been changed to now allow AI models to come in and train on their content. So, this is just like what we saw with Pond 5 a few weeks ago, and now AudioJungle, through their parent company Envato, is now going into this world. So many of you guys emailed me about this and let me know. Thank you. I really appreciate when you guys keep me in the loop on what you're seeing out there. And this is definitely what I see happening more and more often. Now, what's interesting about this move from Envato, which was different about Pond 5, is that two things. One is they are changing and updating their terms of service. I don't believe Pond 5 did that when they introduced the datasets revenue with the AI models training on the music. I think that their argument was, well, our terms of service already allow us to essentially find new business models, new sources of revenue for our composers, so we're essentially covered already. Envato is basically with this letter that they sent out to all their composers saying that we need to basically broaden our terms of use with you guys to allow for new revenue streams. And new revenue streams include now generative AI models that use your content, essentially learning off of them, developing, their technology using pre-made music and all that kind of stuff. So, and another difference, of course, with Envato here was that they're actually allowing you to take your music out if you don't want the AI models to train off of it. Okay, so these updates will take effect 20 days from now, basically on the 1st of June, and there's no need to do anything if you want to keep with it. But if you do want your content to not be used, you need to remove your content from the Envato market, which would be probably AudioJungle for most of you guys, before the changes come into effect by June 1st. So that was sort of a different move because Pond 5 didn't notify anybody before they started allowing AI models to come and train. They've just notified everybody, hey, this is happening, you're getting paid. If you want to take your music out, it's an opt-out situation, you can do that. This is a little bit different. It's still an opt-in situation. You're automatically opted in, but you at least have 20 days to make that decision to decide whether or not you want your music to be included with this new revenue source with AI models sort of, moving in there and essentially training off of your data. So, this is definitely a big concern. I have seen, both sides of this. Some of you guys have been just happy to see new income and you're cool with it. But there's definitely the huge concern that are we taking a little bit of short-term, income, a little bit of kind of pennies and dollars now, but essentially what we are potentially doing with this move is training AI models to essentially come into these marketplaces and completely replace us in the long run. Now, how long will it take before these AI models can actually go in there and create music on our level and something as high quality as what we're doing? That remains to be seen. But I certainly see this actually moving on well past just Pond 5 and AudioJungle. I think other stock and royalty-free sites are certainly going to kind of dip their toes into this water. And what you'll definitely see, and this is what I've already seen already with this move, is they're all looking at each other and they're all watching each other, right? And they want to know, okay, well, that last company rolled out their AI data set revenue stream this way. Here was what the pushback from the community was. Some people liked it, maybe the composers didn't like it. And so I think what Envato did here, probably, in a wise way, was to say, hey, we're going to give you a little bit of a heads up. Unlike what Pond 5 did, Pond 5 didn't give you guys a heads up on what was going to be coming. Envato is, taking that next step and saying, hey, we're going to give you guys a little bit of time. If you want to take your music out of our sites, you don't want to be a part of this, you've got some time to do that. It's still an opt-in scenario, though, where essentially everybody on the platform is just automatically opted into it. So I'm wondering if the next royalty-free site or stock site will essentially maybe go one step further and say, hey, this is going to be an opt-in scenario. We're going to give you some time to decide if you want to be part of it. And if you do, you have to click on a box or you have to check something that you do want your music to be included in this new revenue stream, because it really kind of depends on where, we, the music composers, go with this. Like, I'm not in AudioJungle or Pond 5. I've never been a part of the royalty-free or stock music licensing side of the industry. But for those of you guys it's really on you. Like, if you guys are going to allow them to, let these AI models train off your music and take the income, then other sites are definitely going to continue doing it as well, because they're not going to see any sort of real pushback from the community. So, and I'm not trying to say one way or the other. Okay. So I want you guys to know that I'm fairly neutral on what individuals decide to do with their music, because it's not my music. It's not, your bills are your bills. My bills are my bills. Right. So I don't have your particular, lifestyle considerations, your preferences on what you want to do with your music career. So even though I know there's this sort of demand or this kind of bubbling up feeling of we should have a union and we should have some sort of like collective bargaining so that we don't get taken advantage of, I do understand that, but in many ways I feel like that's probably I'm not gonna say it's impossible. Nothing's impossible. I don't have the bandwidth to be able to put something like that together. I don't know if there's another organization that essentially could. And you'd have to span between production music library composers, stock licensing like it would just be such a huge undertaking. I don't know if somebody's got the energy and the effort to do that. And then how do you sort of ensure that all composers sort of comply with the agreements and get memberships, and essentially we all kind of stick together? It's hard. It's a really tough thing to be able to do. Whether or not that's going to come, I don't know. I'm not putting my money on that's going to be the solution that gets us through this. But there can be a sort of organic pushback if there's enough composers that just go, you know what, I'm not comfortable with this. I'm not liking where this is going. I'm not sure what these AI models are going to be able to do with the content that they learn from my music. So I'm just opting out and I'm not going to be a part of that. And I respect people who have that decision. I also respect those of you that say, I just need a couple extra bucks right now because I've got bills to pay right now. I don't know what these AI models are going to do in a couple of years, but right now I could use a couple extra bucks. I can't be mad at that either, right? Because I think we all have our own different, unique, needs in our own individual lives. Of course, that's obvious. That goes without saying. So, just a new development. Thought it was kind of interesting. Wanted to share with you guys, and I'll certainly, follow this further to see if there's any new developments as we move forward into this really new territory of AI generative music.